Oh yeah, don't forget that part.
All right. Does it show it's recording on your end?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Let me say that
Well,
all again.
yeah, sure.
All right, let's do that one more time. Welcome back, everyone, to another AI in Ministry webinar. We are so excited you guys are with us today. We're going to be getting creative with some AI in our media workflows. So with that, let's do a little housekeeping and intros and get things started.
Yep. All right. So just as a reminder, we are recording. We record all of our AI in Ministry webinars, and you can find the recordings on our website, which Patrick will outline for you at the end of the webinar. If you have questions, we do ask that you please use the Q&A panel and not the chat, because the chat scrolls up super long. It's really hard for us to keep track of them. But the Q&A panel makes it really easy for us to queue those questions up, queue the queues. So please use that panel for your questions. And then, of course, you can always check us out at kingdomcreations.ai/webinars to sign up for the next webinar that we have going on and to check out all the recordings. All right, on to you, Chris.
All right. So you've already heard my name 3 times. You've heard it enough. You've been here more than once. You know me. So Chris Cahias, host and tour guide. I lead innovation here at ACS. Next up, you've got Trace Jackson, who's our innovation wrangler. That is not her official title, but it is what she seems to do. She seems to keep our team getting things done and being organized and making stuff happen. We've got another special guest today. We've got Patrick Abernathy. He is one of our innovation dev team, senior dev dude. I don't know. We don't do titles. We just get stuff done. But we're excited that Patrick's here to share a little bit today. And then we've got someone very special. We've got my bestie. So this is Jason Lee. He is the pastor of innovation at Northwoods Church. This might be the only photo in existence of him in a suit that I found on Facebook to create his avatar, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. We're super excited. Jason's joining us because his team is totally hands-on already in some of the things that we're talking about. So first up, we've got
A
what do we got
fun
going on?
little poll. We just kind of we want to do a vibe check and see where you guys are with usage of AI in your media ministry. So you should see a poll on your screen. I'm going to give you guys a little time to vote, and I can see you guys already starting to vote now.
Jason, do you like these kind of, are you a fan of polls? Like,
I'm not
as a
against them.
not against them? Okay, okay, that's good.
I'm frustrated that I can't vote. It says hosts and panelists can't vote.
I know, I felt the same way. I was
It
a little
pops up
bummed
on
by
my
that.
screen, invites me to vote, and then no. Just
Yep. I don't know how I feel about that, Trace.
So
Is that a
if
Zoom
you were
setting?
to vote, what would be your answer?
Oh, come on. Like, as if my company credit card statement would not beguile where I'm at on the very top of the list.
Well, it looks like everybody's stopped voting, so I'll go ahead and end the poll and share the results with you guys. So, wow, it looks like the majority of you are just kind of curious explorers. We have half of you.
They are curious explorers.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting. So out of all in, we've only got a mere 5%. So it's good that you guys are here, because we're going to share with you some ways that you can go from curious and dabbler to being an AI expert like Chris and Jason. All right, moving on.
Let's get into it. So AI and some of the media workflows. Obviously, a lot of our churches are doing things with media. I know that the range of that is everything from full-length production things all the way down to, hey, we got graphics up this weekend. It was a big deal. So we know there's a wide range, but we're going to break it down because I think there's something in this for everyone. So we're going to get started. But first, a word from the lawyers. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. So we want to talk about real quick AI ethics. Some of this stuff is going to be my very highly opinionated opinion. Jason will also probably, as he talks, share some of his highly opinionated opinions as well today. While we are not lawyers, nor do we play them on TV, we will say to you a couple of guidelines. It's always smart to be transparent. When AI is building something, be honest about it. You can say, I collaborated and we used AI and it's okay. People are starting to get it. The other thing we should talk about is a little bit on the copyright front. So copyright, the legal swarm around AI and who owns what is huge. It's ongoing. You know, the rule of the moment is things created by AI are copyright free, with some notable, like I would say, exceptions and clauses and things. So what does that mean? Create as much as you want. Just be careful with things like likeness. So do not let your pastor, who is, you know, 5'1", don't do a picture of him dunking on Michael Jordan. Yes, there are some AIs out there that would allow you to create it. However, Michael Jordan might get upset that you put him in a photo that he wasn't actually in. So stay away from likeness. You can grab any random NBA player that you want, and AI will synthesize and create somebody that doesn't actually exist. So stay away from likeness. Don't fret too much about copyright. And more to come on that as the lawyers continue arguing and figuring it out. Now, because we're going to deal with some crazy stuff today, I want to bring another thing in. If you're going to be using AI to recreate people, or more to the point, you're going to use AI to be recreating the audio of a person, which if you hang out to the very end, we will do one live demo. It might not make it into the recording. It might be part of the after party, but we're going to actually clone, laughingly enough, we're going to clone the CEO of ACS Technologies, and we're going to have him say a couple of really not bad, but some fun things about the innovation team in AI. So stick around for that. It'll be fun. But if you're going to do this in your ministry, and there's a number of reasons you might, get permission. And I would say the non-lawyer guy who fakes this to everybody would also say, I would seriously have a moment where you think about getting permission for those sorts of things in writing, so that somewhere down the line, somebody doesn't change their mind and it becomes he said, she said. So just, there's your legal moment. All right, Jason, let's talk about AI and media and Northwoods.
Yeah, so we're trying some things out, kicking the tires on it. You know, for us, it really is an ongoing journey. And like Chris was saying, even just getting the permission, it's an ongoing conversation with our leadership about how we're continuing to use AI at Northwoods. And, you know, we've done some training with our staff on here's some tools that you can use. We've given them some guidance on here's some platforms that we prefer you to use. We actually have paid accounts for our staff in an AI platform that we're asking them to use rather than whatever choice platform they want to use. So we're giving some guidance, some recommendations to our staff. And so I also oversee our video production team. And so, of course, you know, these things are showing up in all of the apps we use, whether it's the Adobe Suite or, you know, other things, like other tools. And my team's continually asking, can we use them? Can we use them? And so we're continually having those conversations of, you know, can we use the tools that are available to us, and what's the right time and season to use those. And so we've started to dabble in some of that. So I think we have some examples we've kind of started to use, you know, and really we're using different tools for different things. And so whether it's creating graphics or whether it's creating videos, I think the first example we have is, this is a series that's actually, our congregation doesn't even know it's coming yet. It's part of our At the Movie series, and we're doing the movie Up. And so we do movie art poster banners that for each of the movies that we're going to talk about in that series. And so my team took a reference picture from the actual art from the movie Up and said, here's a picture of our pastor. And we asked AI to use that as a reference and create a caricature of our senior pastor. So That's Pastor John in real life, and then Pastor John as a cartoon in his artwork. And so we're heading in that direction as final artwork for that series. So this some variation of something like this will be what we're using there.
What model did you guys use for this? Do you know?
They used GPT, and they used Sora for that particular artwork. This one was actually, we had a graphic artist on our team for a while, and he drew this actually several years ago. And this is for a series, the Stories Jesus Told. And then we're doing a part 2 of that this summer. And so we basically sent into AI, hey, this is the reference image. And then we asked it to give us an updated version. And so it took the same variation on the theme and created a pretty similar image. And then for the series, we wanted an animation of the water moving. And so then we took that into, I believe we took it into Runway and animated the water that was in the previous picture so that we can use that as a graphic for the lower third. And then the next sample is some AI art that we're just using for our messages for our series art. And so the Just Like Me was created with GPT Sora, and the doves, the picture of Elijah, the green fire, all of that was added to the image and the text that we already had. And so we added those elements using AI. And then we had a staff retreat a couple years ago. We call it Clash of Vans. Staff team goes around on a scavenger hunt in vans, a bunch of different vans, and they compete and whatnot. And so we're having Clash of Vans 2. And so they put the Clash of Vans artwork that someone had drawn for us originally, and then had AI recreate it there as well for Clash of Vans 2. And then the next example, this is a voiceover that we had for a recent partner ministry for our local ministries that we support throughout the Peoria area. And this voiceover was all done in AI. I think we can play it and hear it. Maybe.
In the heart of our community, our local partners serve as beacons of hope and compassion. These ministries are the hands and feet of Jesus to our city. Through these partnerships, we spread the hope of Christ by serving the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of our neighbors. And together, we love our city. In Jesus' name.
So that particular project, we were kind of under the gun and we needed a voiceover and didn't have someone to actually record it that particular week. So we used AI voice generator tool that we have a subscription to, and we basically type out the script and then pick the voice that we wanted it to sound like and hit play. And then we had our voiceover, and then the media team, all the video elements were media pieces that we created. And then the next, this one was pretty crazy. So we had to create an intro to Good Friday service, and we had several elements that we had still pictures that we really liked, but it was really boring in the video piece. And so my team went and took a still image of a scroll and put it into Runway AI and actually animated the unrolling of the scroll. You'll notice if you look super close, you can see that some of the scroll is moving the wrong way, but I don't think many people saw that. But that's some things with the animation with AI. There's going to be quirky things from time to time, but when it's a super short clip, it didn't matter for the video that we were doing. And the voiceover, the AI, the voiceover in this video is also AI, so you can play on that too.
In ancient scrolls, the prophets told a servant who would come. By virgin's birth, so meek yet bold, God's own begotten Son. From Bethlehem it had been said, a ruler would arise. Yet here upon this hill of dread, he laid his power aside Despised by man, rejected, grieved, Isaiah long foresaw. He would be pierced, his breath would cease, fulfilling sacred law. These words of David now reborn. Earth shook as if to yield. In two, the temple veil was torn, the Son of God revealed. Though darkness fell across the land, the battle was not lost. This sacrifice was God's own plan. Redemption at great cost. The work is done, the debt is paid. Let all receive thereof. Good Friday is God's love displayed. Yes, Calvary is enough.
So the team created that piece and it rolled right into the song Calvary is Enough. The script was co-written by AI. Our team basically had the elements that they kind of wanted, and then we worked with our worship team to kind of make it more poetic, and then dropped it into AI in order to actually make the timing and the phrasing work. The scroll at the beginning you saw unfolding, that was a still image that they animated with AI. The crown that was rotated, that turned to the crown of thorns. The gold crown rotation was a still graphic that we turned into motion graphic with AI. And then a couple of the black and white images that you saw throughout were still graphics that they animated with AI as well. So that piece has several different elements that they worked on through that. And then this last one is part of we have a documentary that my team produced a couple of years ago now, or actually a year ago, we released it. Our church used it as a original film as part of our At the Movies series. It's about a 25-minute video that the team put together telling the story of one of our pastors who had a major life change, was pursuing a life of becoming an imam and had a come to Jesus moment, and now is a pastor. And so it tells his story and his journey of his faith journey. And so in part of that video, he's sharing a dream that he had, and our team is like, how are we going to recreate this dream with the scale that he's describing? And so they used AI to create the imagery that he's talking about in the dream. So we can play this.
In this dream, I walk into a room and it's a funeral. The person in the box is dead, and I walk up, and to my horror, it's me. I turn around and I'm looking at this beautiful mansion. Like, I mean, it was massive, beautiful. Like, there's probably 100,000 doors. Like, there's so many doors. I walk into the first door and it was all themed. Like, the first place I went into the theme was horses. Like, the sheets had horses on them, the lamps were horses, like the paintings were horses.
Yeah, so there's several elements in that, I mean, it would have taken hours, if not days, to film, to find a mansion with many doors, let alone rooms with horses and that kind of thing. And so they were pretty easily able to, go into AI, describe the scene, and then it would output a still image. We probably would do a little bit. We created that almost a year and a half ago. And now some of the tools available to us, we probably would have animated some of them or made them moving images rather than stills. But the team we did real well with even just the still graphics. But so kudos and credit to my guys on my team. They are video artists and do a great job with that. I just get to herd the cats, basically, is my role in all of that, and then kind of start to give some guidelines and guidance to what we can and can't do with AI. There's another video that I didn't get a sample of that was for At the Movies last year that was James Bond themed, and Mission Impossible themed, and we created an opener to the season that was with one of our pastors, but we needed the British accent of Q, and so they went and found a subscription service that basically we could drop our script into, and then it created the whole narration with the pretty legit British accent that, you know, we could quickly change the words in the narration to, as we needed to for that creative project. So we've used that as well. But you know, really, I think the big piece for me is just being able to unlock some of the creativity for our team with a smaller budget, you know, and not having to go create everything that we need in a film or in a short video, or even just we need, you know, a voiceover. And sure, there's services you can send out your script to, and you know, they'll come back with it. And the challenge then becomes is when you need to ideate and iterate on that. It starts to get pretty costly because, you know, oh, we need to change the script or we need to do this or that. Whereas with AI, just click a button, edit a few things, and then regenerate the script. And so that really has helped our production time. And really, it has just been a springboard for creativity for our teams as well. You know, a lot of the things that we get out of AI, they're kind of weird. And so, you know, we kind of evaluate, do we want to use this? Does this look good? And it's not always the first thing that we've, you know, sent into an AI engine isn't usually the first thing that we use. It really is a continued conversation as well. And specifically, like for my team, anytime they're putting something in one of their products that's AI, we're always having a conversation about, does this look normal? Is this okay? Does Elijah have 6 fingers, and what do we need to do about that? And just things like that we have to kind of process through. But then also talking through, is this an okay use of AI? You know, is it okay to mimic Pastor John's voice, or you know, what conversations do we need to have before that? And we've really shied away from mimicking any one person's voice for production, just because it kind of feels like a little bit of a gray area for us, and that's just decisions we're making. So we've chosen to use, you know, subscription services that are not trying to mimic any one particular voice. It's just a voice that fits well into the project. And so we've started creating some guidelines for ourselves. Not saying they're hard and fast, not saying that they're right for everybody, but really it is every project that we do, we really are having those type of conversations around, you know, is this a good use of AI, or is this something that we need to stray away from? Or, you know, just to be transparent with leadership, hey, we created this artwork for the series in AI. Is everybody good with it? You know, and not really claiming, you know, our work, it as our work, but really being transparent as we've had some help in this. So those are some examples of things that we're doing at Northwoods in our creative team.
Awesome. Jason, thank you for sharing all those things. And like, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who want to know, ooh, how did you do this, that, or the other? What is the, you've mentioned 3 times now, what is the tool that your team found that they're doing voiceovers with?
Oh, I'm going to have to ask them. I can't remember. Let me find that and I will. There's 2 different, our list is one of them that we did. And
Artlist?
I think,
yeah, Artlist.
Yep. And that one was great at first. And then they like totally redid it, and you lost half the voices and the choices, and like there's only a few. So it was a relatively inexpensive subscription, and it was awesome because you had hundreds of voices, and then it went down to much smaller amount with the subscription we have. So there was things like that I mean, we've learned, don't get too locked into a particular tool, because it may be cost effective and super awesome, and then suddenly it's no longer cost effective, or it's no longer super awesome, and then, you know, you reach out to support and they're like, yeah, this is how it is, you know. So you know, be cautious getting locked into any of those specific things.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to dive in now. We're going to show you guys, we'll kind of go over a little bit of a toolkit, kind of a sneak peek at a toolkit. Many times we're showing you guys things and we're basically going through, you know, lots and lots and lots of examples, and there's a toolkit. I know Jason just shared a bunch, but we want you to see some of the toolkit kind of up front before we really get into it. So the other thing I'm going to say is we're going to show you what we consider to be the superstars. This is not an exhaustive list, which is why I asked Jason to figure out what they are using. But what I will tell you is the tools we're about to show you on the next slide, go ahead and go there. These are the ones that really are kind of mainstream. They're going to be your core. And what I can honestly say to everybody is there are hundreds of products being built that are simply these things and a little bit of smart prompting under the hood. So running through these, and then we're going to dive into some real life examples. If you've been with us for any of the AI ministry things before, Flux, Sora, Ideogram, you have heard these every single time. We're really going to probably shine the light a little bit more on Sora today, just because its video and image generation capabilities are really looking nice. Photoshop and Canva are there as well on the image generation fronts, because those are tools you probably already use, you already have in your media workflows. And in a few minutes, Trace is going to show you how the AI capabilities inside Photoshop can really complement what you're doing. On the audio front, we're going to be talking a little bit about Suno today and 11 Labs. We'll throw Notebook LM. We're not going to really demo it today, but if you've never played with Notebook LM, totally awesome. I actually just loaded a PDF of an entire book into Notebook LM at the start of this webinar, so it's crunching on a podcast for me to listen to later to decide whether or not I really feel like reading this book. So at any rate, Notebook LM will take any text or many texts, turn it into a 2-person podcast, and you can demo and play with that one for free from Google right now. Video. So video, obviously Sora. The funny looking crazy thing is a model called OmniHuman that I'll do a little demo on later. Runway Kling, these are very, very well-known video generation LLMs, probably the 2 that are getting the most, attention on a normal basis. I'm going to throw an honorable mention here and say VO from Google is another one. We have not, our team has done nothing with VO yet. We've been inundated with other models to play with. And then obviously at the bottom, you're getting an honorable mention in ChatGPT and Claude, because one of the things we're going to emphasize, and you heard Jason talk about it, is we're going to talk a little bit about multi-AI. We're going to talk about stacking these tools together. One tool is cool, multiple tools gets really exciting. So as you heard Jason say, and I can say in my world, I typically am starting in something like a ChatGPT or a Claude, working on a script, working on lyrics, working on something first that helps to get the ideas into some organized pattern. And then I am layering in image generation or anything else. I mean, even if all you're doing is building a simple image in Sora, 3 months ago, I just go to Sora and I'm throwing something in. Now I'm usually starting in GPT or Claude and going, help me craft a really good prompt to create an image that fill in the blanks. And as what Jason said, that's still not a 0 shot, because I still have to copy that and take it to Sora. But typically I will even ask it a question, how could this be better, before I waste my time having Sora create that image. So just bear that in mind. The newer generation, especially Claude 4, GPT 4o, they're going to ask you great questions to help you build super prompts. So don't be afraid. All right, so we're going to put all this stuff to work. I am going to warn everybody, today is output only. And I apologize for that. There is no way to do several video generations in a 45-minute webinar. So today you're going to be seeing output only. We're trying to be as transparent as we can. So several of these, you will see the entire prompt thread, so that later on, if you want to go back and look at this slide deck and copy what we've done or learn from it, we're trying to be as honest and straightforward as we can. But to do media requires a little bit more time, and we just don't have it today. So with that, our first one is up.
Hi. So yeah, this is going to be a quick talk about probably one of the most used tools in our Kingdom Creations group. One of the questions I think we get asked the most out of all the fun stuff that we do is, how do I get a cool avatar like Chris? And honestly, earlier this year, I think we got it down to like a 3 or a 4-step process. It wasn't very straightforward. One of the big things that came out in April, though, was, as y'all heard mentioned earlier, ChatGPT released Sora. So Sora's big claim to fame, and what makes it so awesome, is it's image to image. So what we did is, it's like, okay, how fast can we create an avatar generator? So as you see over here, it's like within 3 hours using Claude, we actually went from nothing to full production avatar generator. Now we've since then done some, revisions on it, but we were actually able to get a full production ready within 3 hours. And today you can log into it. We'll show you here in just a second. It's totally free. You get 5 avatars a day. I think we're up to 43 different avatar styles. So if you don't like, there should be something there for everybody's taste. And through this whole testing process, we decided we needed a mascot. So I'd like to introduce you to Harley. So Harley here has been generated through 43 and then some different avatar generations. So she's also my very lazy. She loves to sleep on the couch, Bernedoodle. So feel free. There's a QR code if you can see it between all those pictures right there in the middle. Take you a snapshot. Go out there and generate away. We're at 700. Hopefully y'all can see if y'all can get us over that 800 hump by the end of this.
That's awesome. I love Harley. All right, story time, ladies and gents. I'm just going to kind of walk you through the whole process of how I used AI to help me with some marketing. Recently, I received an email from the International Network of Children's Ministry, INCM, as you can see, and they were giving me an opportunity to post some of our solutions on their resources webpage. And since these will be resources for children's ministry, I thought, why not highlight color creation? Now, I already had some promotional content for color creation, but INCM was really specific on what they wanted me to provide, like with regard to character count and things like that. So I turned to Boodlebox and I prompted it to describe color creation in 180 characters or less. I already had an ongoing chat with Boodlebox regarding color creation. I didn't have to re-educate my AI model, ChatGPT in this particular case, on what color creation is, what it does, who it's for, all that. And so it was easily, it quickly and easily responded back with what I needed. And again, I asked for some offer verbiage, which was another requirement of INCM. And of course, it had a character limit. I didn't have any verbiage on like what our offer actually was. And again, ChatGPT just gave me a quick, solid response. I did end up tweaking all of the content that it generated, but it was great to have a launching pad whittled down to the character limitations for me to start with. INCM also wanted an image. And to this point, I didn't have a solid promotional image for color creation. So I asked ChatGPT what kind of imagery it recommended. And again, I gave it the limitation that INCM put on me, which was to make it square. I also told ChatGPT that I didn't want it intricate, just in case. And it gave me a really great recommendation, which was a simple, bright rendering of 2 to 3 children coloring, smiling, crayons scattered on the table, etc. And I like that. I could have come up with that myself, but it did it in a way shorter amount of time and it would have taken me even longer to explain that in this chat. So it was nice having it already generated in the conversation so that I could switch models to Flux and in the same conversation, because Boodlebox could do that. And I said, create that graphic. I didn't have to redescribe it. And so this is what I got. Now, usually I may have to go through several prompts and renderings before I land on something that I consider workable, but I felt like Flux kind of came through for me right on the first try. Now, there were a few things I wasn't crazy about, though, like the child on the left using both hands to color. It looked like they were holding pencils and not crayons. The coloring pages were kind of indiscernible images and things like that. But because I liked what I had, I wanted to use it as the seed and then just edit it from there rather than create a whole new image. So I downloaded the image from Boodle, uploaded it to Sora, and I gave it some remix instructions. Ensure each child is holding 1 crayon each, with the point of the crayons on the page in front of them, just in case. The coloring pages should depict simple images. I gave a few examples. The coloring pages need to be black and white, as though they need to be colored in. And then the pages should be facing the children. I also, in those little options, I told it I wanted it square and I wanted 4 options. And this is what it generated. And the 2 on the left were out because of the coloring pages. The 2 on the right had the coloring pages facing me. and not the children, despite my saying they should be facing the children. But it looked like it got the rest of my instructions correct. So I tried again. I kept all of my original instructions, but I added to the user, me, the audience, the coloring page images should appear upside down. And okay, I wasn't getting anywhere with the coloring page orientation. And I know that I can probably just rotate those images in Photoshop if I've got a clean enough page to work with. So I wasn't super worried about that. It was weird that it added back in some extra crayons in the kids' hands. But I knew that I wanted to do one more remix anyway, so I wasn't super concerned. But the remix I really wanted was because that middle child has never had a chair. So I kept the instructions same as last time, a tiny bit hopeful that it might finally get the coloring page orientation correct. But then I also added the prompt, add a chair for the middle child to sit in, make it the same type of wooden chair that the other two children are sitting in. And aha, finally, we've got chairs. And that image on the top left, it has no floorboards, which will allow me to extend the background out a little bit easier and maybe put that color creation logo underneath it, which I kind of thought that might be what I wanted. Plus it has more crayons on the table, and the crayons on the table and the crayons in the hands are about the same size, which I had noticed some of them, the crayons in the hands were a little bit longer. So the top left image it is, and then I thought, okay, now onto Photoshop to do more editing. But before I do, I did want to give Sora some kudos for maintaining my history. So I can see every generation that I've asked for, whether it was a new image or remix. I can see images that I may have uploaded, and I can see any prompting for either original content or remixes. And this was really, really helpful because when I was going through this process for the promotional graphic, I had no idea that a few days later I'd be assembling a slide deck today to share the process with you guys. So it was great to go back and recapture all of this from Sora, and then of course also from Boodle. Okay, Photoshop. So the first thing I did in Photoshop was to shift the canvas down, but of course I still wanted to keep it square per INCM's requirements. So you can see I ended up with this transparent strip at the bottom. And again, I thought I might want to use that for the color creation logo, but to make it seamless, I needed table legs. So I used Photoshop's generative fill, and I prompted it by saying, fill in more of the existing cream background and the bottom of the table legs. And as you can see, Photoshop gave me 3 options. I felt that the 2 legs in the left options were a little bit too long for a kid's table. So I went with this one on the right, which made it look like this. And then I selected that little bottom strip or flooring or whatever it is that you're seeing, and I just manually filled it with cream to match the background. So this is what I ended up with. And then of course I just added in the color creation logo. Now, because I stacked multiple models to get my final product, I just want to kind of recap and give props to all the tools that I used along the way. So ChatGPT created content, but also the image idea. And of course, it was by way of Boodlebox, and then Flux props for creating the initial image, and then Sora for all of the remixes, Photoshop AI and its general tools, and then of course, a little bit of me. So it has taken me a while to like recognize what I can work with in each different model or tool. Like, what's my stopping point here to move to this other tool there? And then of course, it also took me a while to figure out like what each tool does best. So it's just trial and error. You just got to get in and start playing with some things. And also, I rarely go with the first generation of content or image. I tweak my prompts. I tell it to go back and try again. I edit its final output, whether it's text or imagery. I am still in the driver's seat. I know what I want my end product to be, and I'm just using the tools to help me fashion it. So props to me.
Nicely done. You use a little bit of that real AI, the actual intelligence, not the
real eye,
artificial
not
variety.
the artificial.
The real AI, the OG AI, as it were.
Wouldn't that be
All right,
just
so-
OGI?
OGI. I don't know. Wow, I can't go there. Okay, you're really messing with my head. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about, so one of the more exciting fronts, and I do have to say, I want to give Jason Lee's, I'm blaming Jason Lee's church for my excessive use of Suno. So I've done AI talks a lot over the last year. Every one of them, I'm including things around generative AI and how it can do music. Well, it wasn't until I was flying to visit Jason Lee's church and talk about AI that I thought, you know, I talk that it can do it, but I've never actually done it and experienced it. So at Jason's church, it was the first time we went ahead. We had a theme song for our doing a little bit of AI work with his team, which was an absolute blast. And actually, we're going to take a quick moment and go, some of you were making comments about the music you heard at the very beginning of the AI webinar today. That was an AI generated song. So Suno created the music and the vocals. The lyrics actually were a joint effort between my wife and I and AI. And we literally took, our church has 7 discipleship values, and we plugged them in and began working and massaging them into lyrics. And then what you hear is the 4th generation out of Suno to create that song. So it's kind of this discipleship song for our church. And it's been a lot of fun. But what we're going to do now, I'm going to actually create a new song in this slide. We're going to go through this. So Trace has been after me for a while. She goes, hey, all these AI talks, they need a theme song. So here I am, I'm in ChatGPT. I'm saying, yo, we need some lyrics for AI in ministry. It cranks some out. We get some lyrics here. And so Divine Signal, I love the title. I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. I didn't actually read these lyrics. I grabbed them all, threw them in Suno, hit the randomize button, and got a style. I liked the style, but it started singing this song, and it got down to the chorus. And I'm going to be honest with everybody. I went, I am going to be strung up if I play this song the way it is. It sounded like it was praising AI. So we went back to ChatGPT and we wrote, let's update this so it doesn't sound like we're worshiping AI. We worship God alone. AI is a tool. So we get a round 2. Again, don't zero shot anything you do with AI. And in the second mix, it's great. In fact, it might be a little bit too anti, like, it might even be a little anti-AI if you read it. You know, AI is a tool. The truth is Christ. The only way, the bread of life. It's actually pretty fun. So from here, we jumped into Suno. And again, Suno is a really cool tool. You can try this one for free. It's a blast. So I brought it in here. I set a style. I wanted a surf rock upbeat style with a little bit of strong bass. This slide shows you one of my favorite kind of, I would say, guilty pleasures to do when there's nothing going on is I would go to Suno and explore their styles and just hit the random button. Thousands of styles, music styles from all over the world. Totally fun. But we're going to let you guys sample for the very first time the AI in Ministry song.
It's ever changing, where the noise can drown the truth. We are called to be his echo through the old ways and the new. Not by gadgets, not by glory, but by grace and by his word. Every tool becomes a vessel when his voice is what is heard. It's not the code that saves the soul, but heart surrendered, spirit filled and whole. We worship God, not wires or streams, not
anybody wants to hear the rest of that at some point, we'll make the MP3 available. You guys can download it. So shifting gears, shifting from the audio into the world of video. This one is, again, I'm picking on Jason because he's here, but I spent a lot of time and did a lot of this the first time with his church. We did some Bruce the Moose stuff. It was really fun, but it didn't quite go as far as I wanted it to. So what you're about to see is a multimodal representation. We're going to create a children's ministry style character of Noah, and then we're going to make him speak with perfect lip sync. And this is totally fringe and totally fun. So let's do it. So we're using Sora and OmniHuman here. So I'm going to first talk to Sora. Again, Sora is probably our favorite image generator right now. So create a close-up, headshot, Pixar-style animated character of Noah from the Bible. Now, one of the things I love about Sora is I can choose 1, 2, or 4 versions, which saves me time. So it can go to work. So it gives me 4. Here comes my 4. And any one of these is probably a pretty good Noah. It did a great job. I said I want the arc in the background. I want it kind of fuzzed out. News reporter kind of style. So I go with the top left because I kind of like the head covering he's got. I like that pose for some reason. And the next thing I do is I bust out a non-AI tool, freebie, Audacity. So what are we doing? I'm going to give Noah my voice. So I record a little 7-8 second clip of me saying something fun that Noah is about to say. And then I bring the image and the audio together in a model called OmniHuman. So right now, the only place to play with this is on Dream Video AI, but I bring my image of Noah, my audio file together, and it takes between 3 and 5 minutes to generate this clip. But Trace is going to play it for you now.
You should use AI so that your project doesn't take 50 to 100 years. Just saying.
So
Just saying.
that is what you just saw is absolutely revolutionary. 6 months ago, impossible. Really, really, really cool and radical stuff. So we showed this to you not to necessarily say these are the things that you should be doing in ministry right now, but to say these are the things that are on the horizon, because this is the area of AI that is getting, in my opinion, some of the biggest and most attention right now, because the text generation models have become quite mature. So now the media is where the investment is and where things are catching up. But imagine being able to create some simple clips like that, even for a children's ministry, even for different audiences. So a lot of fun stuff there. That could be really fun. So the last up, we are going to show, and I know Jason said they have shied away from voice cloning, but again, we want you guys to know what's out there. Maybe it excites you, maybe it scares you, maybe it's a little bit of both, but it's good to be informed. And I'll show you how we have used a couple of these platforms. So 11 Labs, fantastic text-to-speech and voice-to-voice and voice cloning engine. I've used it several times to do some different types of voice cloning and voice work. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick demo. We're going to record me, and we're going to do a voice-to-voice change. So not text-to-speech, mind you. So this is, I'm going to create the vocal pattern. I'm going to set the words. We're going to record me, and then we're going to basically overlay my voice with a different voice, but it maintains my kind of speed and, you know, things. So, all right, I'll let Trace do it. So first one up. Hi, my name is Chris, and this is what I sound like normally. But in a moment, we're going to completely change my voice just for fun. So now we're going to just take that audio and switch it up with Liam.
Hi, my name is Chris, and this is what I sound like normally. But in a moment, we're going to completely change my voice just for fun.
I should have thought about what I said and recorded, but now, just to prove to you, it's not just messing with the vocal pattern. I'm going to be, I guess, a lady. That's a weird thing to say.
Hi, my name is Chris, and this is what I sound like normally. But in a moment, we're going to completely change my voice just for fun.
So you can do all kinds of other things in here as well. Again, if you guys hang out for the after party, we're going to clone our CEO's voice and have some fun with that just for grins and giggles. I think at this moment, we're ready to roll into any of the Q&A.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes. Wow. We may not get to all of the questions in the webinar, but we will hit some live in the after party afterwards. But also any question that we don't answer during the webinar, we will make sure to follow up with you afterwards, just in case you're not at the after party. Okay, boy. This is a loaded one, maybe. So I'm just going to read it. Any helps in responding to church members who feel like AI graphics are a knockoff of human artwork and shows that the audience is not being valued. This is a true complaint we experienced when using AI to generation Bible characters for sermon slides. Is it best not to use AI in this way?
I'm going to let the pastor of innovation take this one since he's here today.
Yeah, that's a cop out. First, I mean, if that came to me, that wouldn't be my decision to be made, right? So first is knowing organizationally who makes those kind of decisions. And that wouldn't be just my team or me exclusively making that decision. That would be a conversation with our leadership and how they're feeling on it. And so I think one being a reflection of our leadership and their decisions. And so, you know, if they think this is a valid concern, then, you know, we wouldn't be doing it, right? But if our leadership feels comfortable with using AI animation and wants to have a conversation with that person, you know, I would wonder, is that an opportunity for recruiting? Is this person a graphic artist and they'd like to volunteer? I mean, so I think that there's some conversations to be had with any critique. There's some, you know, potential positive and or conversation to be had. And so I think, you know, I don't know that my team would be the one digging in and having that conversation with someone with that kind of a concern, but our leadership definitely would want to have some sort of a conversation with them. And I wonder if there's some, you know, there's either a family story, like somebody's been impacted or put out of a job by AI already in their family, right? So they're carrying some sort of a story, or they have an opinion because they are an artist themselves and maybe they don't have a place to serve. So I think there's some opportunities for conversations to dig into it in a healthy way, rather than just, you know, be dismissive of all they don't know what they're talking about. And maybe they have a point, right? And I think it's a fair place with leadership to say, hey, this is a common question that's been raised. Where do we land on this? You know, and so thankfully I'm not the senior pastor doing the sermons, and I'm not going to make that decision, but we would have a conversation with him, and we wouldn't continue doing it if that wasn't something he was comfortable with. But if he was, you know, then we've got the decision of the senior pastor to operate under his authority. So I think it's kind of a, you know, maybe that's passing the buck a little bit, but if for us organizationally, it wouldn't be a decision that I would make.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think because of its infancy, there will be more people who are the detractors. I mean, even this webinar, some of you may not believe this, but when we first started doing this webinar back in January, I'm pretty sure every month until June, we got several people who were very angry with ACS that ACS was having us even do this AI and ministry webinar at various temperatures and levels. You know, so part of this is there is the adoption curve. And there's also a point at which, you know, even looking at the survey we did today, there were very few of you who were like, I'm all in. There's the, I'm curious, I'm looking, I'm touching, I'm thinking, I want to know more. So I do believe there's a moment where our culture is still at this crossroads of, is this good? Is this bad? Is this real? Is this what? So I love Jason's answer. I would agree. Like, I think there's a sensitivity and an understanding because there's probably a ministry moment there that we don't want to miss just because of a technology.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got some different questions about subscriptions. I think one good question for you, Jason, is, I mean, do you guys actually have an AI budget, or is it kind of all encompassed within your media ministry tools in general? And then I'm going to also have you maybe respond to if you do have any paid subscriptions, what of those do you recommend?
Yeah, so we as an organization have really started to land on, if we're going to use AI in production, then they're going to be paid subscriptions or tools that come with paid subscriptions, partly because of the use agreements that comes with. I mean, Suno, for example, you can make however many songs you can with the credits that you get for free, but if you read the terms of service, you don't own the rights to that song until you pay the subscription fee, and then that song is actually something that you can get royalties on, right? So knowing the terms of service is important. And so for our organization, for our staff in general, we've chosen to use Boodlebox. We've mentioned that a couple of times, and that's where our staff mostly live most of the time when it comes to AI. With the exception that when it's more media related, so mostly my team and some of the graphics people and the other teams, there have been specific use cases that we've said, yes, you can use Canvas, you can use Photoshop, you can use Runway, you can use Artlist, whatever those things are, but it's on a case-by-case situational basis that we're approving those things. And then we are, rarely using the free tools, just because we don't want to get into those gray areas of, can we use this and stream this online? And are there any, credit that we have to give to somebody else and that kind of thing? So, I think one of the questions was, is Runway in Boodle? No. It's a subscription service. I think it's only about $15 a month for the lower tier of Runway. So it's not terribly cost prohibitive, and you can use it for a couple months and cancel it. And then if you wanted to use it again later on, you could bring it back. It's not like you're signing up for a year or whatever for your commitment. So, really it's case by case and team by team, and even within some of the teams, individual by individual basis of what we're talking through and what are kind of approved things for people to use, but really steering them away from, hey, just go use whatever engine you want and use the free thing and have at it. There really have been some guidelines that we put up for our teams, and a lot of that has been conversations with our leadership. I've sat in several executive team meetings and really massaging through this idea of a AI guidance or AI policy, that we haven't really landed on policy yet, but we have created guidelines for our staff. This is the walled garden that we're willing to work in right now, and we're willing to have conversations about other things as they develop.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. We do have more questions that have come in, and if you have any that you guys think of in the next few minutes, go ahead and put those in. We will get back to you after the webinar. We'll also chit chat a little bit about that, about these questions and stuff in the after party. But we do have a couple of other things that we did want to mention before we wrap up the webinar proper. So Patrick, did you want to mention a little bit about
I'd like to encourage everybody to check out our website. We're at kingdomcreations.ai. That QR code down on the bottom right will jump you over there. One of the main things there, it'll show the tools that we are currently working on. Sorry, not tools, programs, applications. You heard color creation, avatar gen, those are all there and currently all free. And they do show what we are, I think the status is baking, I think is what Trace picked. So, kind of some things that we have coming up. So we also do have partner links. So there's Boodlebox and Interprenet, Logos. I believe they have links there. There may be some special deals just on those links. Excuse me.
Yep. And a couple of you did ask in the Q&A about deals on subscriptions. While a lot of the stuff that we showed you today, we don't have partnerships with them, and we don't offer deals for you through them. But the partners, we do have deals that we're offering. So be sure to head out to our site where you can kind of see what those deals are, and then just click straight through to get in on those.
And I will plug, I think we've all mentioned it like a dozen times so far, but Boodlebox is one of those. I highly encourage that link. It does allow you to try, I forgot what they're up to now, but you have ChatGPT, Claude, image generation. It's more bang for your buck than you're going to get pretty much anywhere else. And I believe it's a month free, 2 weeks.
1 month free. Yep. If you use our promo code. Yep. Absolutely.
Didn't remember what it currently was, but that'll be awesome for y'all to be able to check out and try it for a month for free. It really, there is no commitment to it. And then the last thing, all our webinars are on there. So please, there is a header on there for all our webinars. You can see all our past webinars. You can sign up to get on the list for future webinars, or if you just want to keep coming back to the website all the time, you can check it out there. So thank you.
Perfect. And then One last thing we wanted to mention is that we will be at ACS Technologies Ministry Smart Conference. If you are unaware of what this conference is, it is the annual training conference that our company puts together for all of our customers and ministry partners, no matter what solution of ours that you are using, whether it's Ministry Platform, Realm, ACST, whatever. And Chris and I will be leading some awesome sessions that if you liked today's webinar at all, you will love our sessions at the conference. AI in ministry, generative AI for ministry, enhancing connection. This is all about working together, networking together. We will do another AI tool roundup. This always changes every time we talk about it because we're always using new tools, and it will be much more comprehensive. And then Chris's wife, Sarah, and I are teaming up to talk about going from sermon to resource. So basically using AI to automate all of your weekly content creation. And she's been working, leading children's ministry for years. So she's a great expert to tap into for that. We'll do a roundtable for innovators. And then Chris will do advanced widgets, custom development. This is for Ministry Platform users specifically. So if you don't use Ministry Platform, this will probably not be, you won't want to go. And then we just recently got roped into, voluntold, I don't know, to do an all-day AI workshop / roundtable, which will be held the day before the conference. They're calling it the pre-conference. So be sure to sign up for the conference and definitely hit that pre-conference day. If you've already signed up for the conference, but you didn't get in on that pre-conference day, you can still circle back and add that on. And we hope you do. It's just going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a blast. Anything to add to that one, Chris?
Nope. Looking forward to
that
it.
QR code will get you to the conference website where you can register and check out all of the sessions that will be available. So, phew, all right. For those of you watching the recording, we thank you for joining us. But for those of you that are here live and you have time, this is where we move to the after party, where we turn off the recording, let our hair down, hang out, and chat. All right. I'm gonna stop that recording.